first name, Mr. Fox?
Paul.
Okay. And I understand you spoke to Investigator Tyran about what's going on with Fort Wentworth.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, go ahead, tell me what do you want.
Well, I'm city councilman along with Ms. Johnson. I'm a newly elected. I went, my inauguration was January 4th.
Okay.
I'm disabled. I run a community watch.
Gotcha.
And recently I've been named president of our HOA. So I deal with this Mr. Steely a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot that I used to deal with a gentleman that I took the place of named Mike Yardman. Mr. Steely was on our board. He was over beautification and maintenance. And I would meet with him and Mike Yardman a lot at Mike's office. And you're a black gentleman, so it's a little hard for me. And please don't take this personal.
No, I'm fine. Go ahead, you good.
He would talk about black people, and gentleman I ran with, one of my best friends here in Savannah, is Thomas Barbie. Him and I both won council seats.
Okay, yeah.
And Mr. Steele would say they're not gonna let another nigger in council, people downtown. He says, and in fact, we're gonna run one of the nigger bitches out.
Did he say which one it was?
Yeah, Councilwoman Johnson.
Okay. When did y'all have this conversation?
Oh, this was before I got elected.
Okay.
But he's been going on, and there's been I know you know about the TIF before.
Yes.
That all stemmed from something he did, and it concerned my community watch.
Okay.
And Miss Johnson heard about it and asked me about it. So that's why him and her got into it, because she stepped in when I asked her to stay out. But that was her personal thing.
Well, what happened?
What happened was, like I said, I run a community watch, and we have a community pool.
Okay.
And I used to have a community watch car. Okay. It caused me more problem than it was worth, because I paid for everything myself.
Okay.
It was my car. I had it decorated, said community watch, kids are first. And Mr. Barbie bought one for his community. Okay. So what I started in Lakeshore, and I did Lakeshore, which covered Springwater, Lakeshore, Amberley Estates, and Braxton. And it went over so well there, I went to Rice Creek, where Mr. Barbie lives, and talked to their residents, and they wanted it too. Okay. So I helped create one there. Then I went to where Miss Johnson lives in Newport, and they were very interested. So I took them all and put it at the Greater Port Wentworth Community Watch. Okay. I'm the founder of it. And I believe at that point is why our crime rate started going down, because I had so many people involved. Well, Mr. Steely went to Mr. Williams and asked Fred Williams, which is the declarant of all the
Yes.
Ask him, why can't he drive the car? And I told people, I don't mind you driving it. Just give me your license so I can put you on my insurance. Well, he told him the same thing, so Mr. Steely came to me and I got him on my insurance. So he drove the car around. One Saturday he calls me when he had the car and said, Paul, I need you to come down to the pool. I said, why, what's going on? He says, we have people in the pool I don't believe that belong. I said, okay, you have a list just like I have. What makes you think they don't belong? He says, my son told me so. I said, well, did you check the list? I don't have time for that. I said, hey, I call him Eric. I said, Eric, I'll come down there. So I went down there, and right away, he meets me outside. And I have all kinds of witnesses to tell you exactly what happened. He says, see them 3 niggers, 3 young black men in the pool. They were 16. I know exact because their mother was part of my community watch. They were 16 and 2 17 years old. And I said, did you ask them? He said, no. He says, I know they're from Newport. I said, I don't play that. I said, if I'm going to check passes, I'm going to check everybody's. I says, my son was down there. I say, go tell my son, his mother said dinner will be done shortly. So I went to the left and started asking people for their pool passes. And there was a heavyset white lady there. I said, ma'am, do you have your pool pass? She said, no. But Eric said, I'm okay. Speaking of Mr. Steely. I was gonna tell her, you got to go unless you have a pool pass. Before I had a chance to say that, I heard Mr. Steely yelling at these young kids. I didn't quite hear what he said. And he goes, the 16-year-old picks the phone up, calls his mom. He said, Mom, I need you to come down to the pool, we have issues. Evidently, she said, why are you being kicked out? He said, because I'm black. That was the words that come out of his mouth. So I'm trying to talk to the young man because I deal with all the kids in the community and I show no favoritism.
Okay.
And he said, my mother told me not to talk to you. I said, that's fine. He sat and got in his car. Mr. Steely was so adamant on these three young kids. One of them told him, I should just kick your old ass. Mr. Steely went off. I don't want to repeat what he said.
No, just say what he said.
He said, come on, you nigger sons of bitches. And he just kept yip, 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 yip. And people started leaving the pool because of this old man. Well, his mother came down and seen me. Right away, she knew who I was. She got mad at me. She said, Paul, what is going on? I said, oh. I got called down. I'm trying to just calm things down here. Well, she was mad. Mr. Steely was very rude to her. The only way I can put it. He didn't cuss her out or anything, just the way his demeanor. Well, my neighbor guy is in the service. Him and his wife and their kids were down there. And afterward, he came up to me and said, Paul, I think you handled that very well. And I said, well, I try to do the best I can because he's a part of my community watch also. He just sitting back to see how I handle it. He would have stepped in if I needed him. But he made the comment to the one young black man. He says, well, if you feel like the man was racist towards you, you have a camera, video it. And Mr. Steely blew up, got on Facebook. Fox and his friends are gonna start putting video at the pool video and everything that goes on, you know. And then Mr. Steely's own son says, telling neighbor kids, you can't come to my house because my dad don't like niggers. But he doesn't tell his dad he says that. There's a very bad perception. Well, Ms. Johnson found out it happened to my community watch and I was losing people over it. She stepped in and I asked her to stay out. That's where her and Mr. Steely had their...
Okay, riff.
Yeah, the first one. Well, like I said, in meetings he would say they're gonna run her nigger ass out of town, you know, she doesn't belong. You know, I deal with Mr. Steely on a HOA basis, it's a councilman basis, so I'm getting it from all ways. I'm a man, I can deal with it, you know. I sit like this because I'm disabled. If I close my legs, I get leg cramps, so. But she's a woman, I don't care. A woman can sit there with her legs wide open, nothing on, I don't care, it's her business. Don't shoot up her dress. And he thinks it's funny. He posted it again after Thursday's council meeting.
Did he?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. That's what one thing I was looking for. And I know I know you know who Mr. Hawks is.
Yes.
He's the one that sent me this. This the one. No. Gotta go back. Well, he sent it to Debbie, and Debbie called me the other day. Here it is, pig posted it again. That was 2 minutes after our council meeting Thursday.
That's the only thing he posted.
And if you look, he said she's working for us. And there's rude comments. I didn't post, I don't think I got all that, but you know, I know he told some officers he wouldn't do it again, but he's doing it. And he's going after her in all ways.
Said he told somebody he wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, he told Mr. Hawks, he had a conversation that quote unquote, he says, the investigation's over, I'm exonerated, I'm scot-free. The man is, I think he's a piece of crap. He's cantankerous, he starts drinking in the mornings, rum and coke. That's his drink of choice. And he got involved with all this with, during the political campaigns. He was doing everything he can to slander me, to give me a bad name. He called Thomas Barbie a nigger. And that's why they asked him to step down from the beautification and maintenance.
Okay.
That's where, and he got mad because they gave him the choice, step down or be fired. And he got mad. And from that point on, he knows he can't hurt me. He's went in my background, I don't care. I worked 26 years for Waste Management as a driver trainer. I'm no high profile person, but Ms. Johnson is a high profile person in our community. She does so much for our city. He knows I support her, and it's to the point I'm just over it. And yes, I've heard him make derogatory comments and say things against her, along with Mr. Tim Holbrook and Ernie Stanhope. They have all said things.
So what has Holbrook said?
Well, I know for a fact he sat in Miss Johnson's house and told her and Miss Powers, they don't like you because you're niggers. And the mayor can come in here and tell you all he wants. There's something wrong with that too. He runs it all because, first of all, they would talk all the way up until that first picture came out. Mm-hmm. Then he denies knowing the man. And the man's got a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against our city. Or $1 million lawsuit. Mm-hmm. They would meet down at Holbrook's Deli Mart up until that picture came out and discuss all this, because I live by this guy.
Okay.
I live in Amberley Estates, and he lives in Lakeshore.
So who is they? Who would all meet down there?
Meet Pig, Tim Holbrook, Ernie Stanhope, Barbara Powers, and whoever else wanted to join them.
And what do they meet about?
Way to destroy Miss Johnson. Because I'm a straightforward person.
Oh yeah, I'm glad. I like straightforward people. They tell you exactly where it is.
It's like at the council meeting, when that picture first came out, I told the mayor, I think he's a piece of crap. He needs to grow a set of nuts, because him being the face of that city, he should have been the one to call Miss Johnson and say, Miss Johnson, there's a disturbing picture of you on Facebook. He just let it go.
You said Ernie Stanhope. You said they all get together, and you said who else? You said
there's Ernie Stanhope, mm-hmm. Eric Steele, Ernie Stanhope, Tim Holbrook, the mayor, Eric, Mayor, Ernie, Tim, and whoever else wanted to be there.
You said Miss Powers goes.
Oh yeah, Miss Powers, because quote unquote, I love Tim Holbrook. The man is just not right. And I do know from talking to Mr. Steele, the mayor puts things in his head, lets him take them where he wants.
So the mayor encourages him to.
Oh yeah, and I know that for a fact. Because one thing I will give Mr. Steele, he's a blunt person. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to lie to you. When you're sitting there talking to him, he says, yeah, Mayor and I and Tim and Ernie all have had lunch, and they hope Miss Johnson don't run for mayor, because we're going to take her out. Then all of a sudden she gets a phone call, because I made a comment to the mayor at a council meeting. I said, Mayor, I says, you don't like Miss Johnson, you've got something against her, because you know as well as I do, she's going to be the next mayor of this city. 3 weeks later, she gets a phone call and says they're gonna run her nigger ass out of Port Wentworth. An anonymous phone call. She didn't tell you about that?
No, she didn't.
Yeah. In the middle of the night, they blocked the call, and that's what they told her.
Anything else? I mean, who do you think made the phone call? You think was the
My
result
personal
of it?
opinion,
Yeah.
I won't go on record, my personal opinion, I think it was either Ernie Stanhope or Eric Steele. And I think Ernie Stanhope took that picture. Because that picture was taken in executive session. I wasn't on council, but I was at that meeting the day she had that dress on.
Okay.
And they went into executive session. And that's the only place he could have taken it, because if you ever been in our courtroom where we hold our open sessions, you can't see nothing there.
Yes.
You go into our meeting room, that's the chairs and the tables in our meeting room. And it was taken during, that was the only time she wore that dress.
So are you on city council now?
Yes, sir. I'll give you my card right now.
Okay. Oh, no, I just wanted to make sure.
I am the city councilman, I represent District 2.
Okay.
And I get slammed by Eric all the time.
So let me ask you something. You said that they're out to get Miss Johnson.
Yes, yes, sir.
What part of it does the mayor have to do with it?
He's the puppet, or he pulls the strings.
So he tells Stanhope what to do.
He gives them hints on what they can do. They just do what they want with it. You know, to me, it's awful strange. Mr. Steele says he had lunch with the mayor and Ernie and all them at Tim's restaurant. And then he goes after Miss Johnson, you know, and she gets that phone call and all that. It's just awful strange. Too coincidental.
Is there any proof or anything of any of it, or is it?
Just him, Mike Garvin doesn't even want to be involved. He's a very sore right now because he lost his job because of Mr. Steele. His association with Mr. Steele.
And who is that?
Mike Yardman.
Yeah.
He used to run our HOA.
Okay.
And Eric and him got real close. And at that time, our declarant, which was Fred Williams, Eric would just go off on me, on Thomas, on Debbie, just stupid stuff, and just try and make us look bad. And then he would call Fred's office and bother his women. And, Fred told Mike, I said, Mike, you gotta separate yourself from him. Mike said, okay. So he quote unquote, told me, he goes, I told Eric don't come around here. But he kept going over. And he was caught. Mike Yardman was, and Fred gave him 2 warnings. Hey, I told you I gotta separate myself. I don't want nothing to do with that. He's a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
So he told Mike he was done. He said, well, can I announce my retirement? And that's where I got drug in, because I didn't know none of this until talking to Mike.
Okay.
I was told I was under the impression Mike was retiring. And one day he said, Paul, I'm not retiring, I was fired. Fred, give me 60 days to get my stuff and announce my retirement. I said, well, why did he fire you? He said, because of my association with Eric Steele.
So you're saying Steele, the mayor, Holbrook, Barbara Powers, and...
Barbara Powers goes to Steele's house at least twice a week.
Okay.
And I can't find it, but during our council meeting Thursday, she's recording it. Sitting open session, because what happened was okay, Miss Johnson sits here, I sit here, and Miss Powers sits here.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the clerk of council, then the other 3.
Okay.
She had her phone sitting like this, and it was going, I looked over, and I just seen Steele. I just, uh-oh. So Debbie heard it, and the mayor even heard it. And she took her phone and went like this, and she's sitting like this now. He posts something, because I don't take my phone in there no more.
Uh-huh.
People accuse you of recording. No, I'm out of that. I don't want nothing to do with that. My phone is on my charger in my pickup. And we walk out, I see I have a text message from one of my constituents, also a friend,
yeah,
and said, you need to see this. Eric Steele's posted on there what went on in council, and he's not even there. So I know she recorded it. And I reported that to the mayor. I called him right afterward. He goes, well, I'm busy today, tonight, tomorrow, I'll try and handle it Monday. And his, what's he gonna do? He ain't gonna do anything to her. He won't even reprimand her. You know why? He's let it known. He's trying to get Thomas Barbie, which is the black gentleman, to go to his side. He's let it be known. You know why? I need the black votes. That's what he'll tell his friends. Why are you friends with them black people? I need the black votes.
So you think that she turned the phone on and let him listen the whole time?
Yep. Because he was making fun of all the people that came up, and like, I know you read the paper about the guy saying you were video raped. That was in the paper.
Okay. Well, I haven't read it.
Well, the Savannah Morning News put it in yesterday's paper.
Okay.
And he knew about that before it hit the paper. He knew about that before I got in my truck, before council was over.
So
Miss Powers is behind a lot of this too. See, her and Debbie used to be tight. And they had a falling out over something, and I don't know what. It doesn't concern me. But they used to be like sisters. Now they're like worst enemies. And, Officer Mackey, she put me in a police report for saying, when I first got on council, saying, hi, Miss Powers. That's all I said, period. She put me and Thomas Barbie in a police report for saying, hi, Miss Powers. She felt threatened.
She felt threatened by y'all? Why?
She wouldn't say. And when the judge seen that at the magistrate court, he said, he asked her, how would you feel threatened by people saying hi? She couldn't answer it. By the way, not to get off the subject, but I gotta tell you hi for somebody. Alfred Boyette.
Oh, hi.
He told me to tell you hello.
I said hi, man. I hadn't seen Alfred in years, man.
He had that kidney transplant. He's doing real well. I just talked to him today. I seen him today.
I had to call him. I'm gonna call him this afternoon.
He says, tell Mr. Officer Mackey I said hi. I said, what? He said, yeah, I know them all.
Yeah, Alfred, you always work the courthouse together.
Yeah.
But, let me tell you something. We're finishing up our report. We haven't completed, we haven't turned it in. So, I don't understand how Staley's telling everybody, Mr. Staley's telling everybody something that he has no knowledge of. I'm glad you came in and told us. That'll help us clear up a good bit of stuff.
The thing is, our chief of police, Chief Libby, I may not like him completely, but he's honest with me. He told me this mayor and previous mayors have been doing this for the last 25 years. It's time this crap stops. I get Mr. Steele and people my constituents, his friends, saying I don't do anything. How can I when I'm dealing with this all the time? I never thought I'd be a politician. My neighbors, my community, from the Community Watch asked me to be their voice. Because I am outspoken, I go to the meetings. The gentleman was right. This is the third, as he put it, scandal since I've lived here since 2013 in Fort Wentworth that I know the mayor's been in the middle of. And, he keeps saying, my God, my God. Hey, I don't care. Do the right thing. Be the right person. And I've read messages from Eric. I'm tired of these people now wanting to put their name to papers, to pictures. And he's all but called them all out. And Bill Herron's another one that goes to those meetings. I forgot him. He's another council member.
Okay.
He's called Bill Herron out. He's called the mayor out.
A little bit early.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, don't be sorry. We're glad you're here.
You know, he's all but named them all that's involved in it, in his little rants. You know, is he a racist? People in our community thinks he is just by the way he acts, his demeanor, the way he talks to people, especially the black people, the African American people. My neighbor lady, like I said, her husband is in the military. She'll tell you straightforward, he is a racist. And like I said, issue with them young teenagers, I let them go home and think about it for about 3 or 4 hours, and I went to their house and talked to them. They understood, and I got a mother and father with the son come to council and explain, you know, what type of person I was, because the council was going after me for this happening. This is before I become a councilman.
Okay.
You know, it's like, hold it. No, I'm not that way. I've never been that way. I was raised different. But I think, bottom line is, the mayor is the puppet master. That's the only way to put it. He pulls the strings.
So he's pulling the strings of everything that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm. I truly, in my heart, believe that.
When you talked to Mr. Steely, did he say anything about the picture, about the mayor, and any of the other ones about the picture?
No, he's never told me who, I don't even know who sent it. Beyond, I just have my gut instinct. But, he's made comments, yes, the mayor's seen it, they're all fine with it, you know. And then he makes that comment, people should grow up and grow a set of nuts and put their name to pictures, put their name to papers, statements. You know, like I told you, before that picture came out, him and the mayor would have lunch. Hold on, I don't know who it is, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Him and the mayor and all of them would have lunch.
So Steely, you know, say it one more time, he is.
Okay, they used to meet at Deli Mart, Tim Holbrook's restaurant.
Holbrook, yeah.
Was it Eric Steely, the mayor, Tim Holbrook, Ernie Stanhope, Barbara Powers, and for the longest time it was Bill Herron.
And what were they meeting about?
The way to destroy Miss Power, or Miss Johnson. All because she does so much for the community, and people are really, you know, for our city, as far as putting on events, you know, Feed the Hungry, Christmas, you know, Breakfast with Santa, all kinds of stuff. And the mayor was realizing, hey, this woman's being, you know, she's gonna be known. And I made a comment after he become councilman saying, you know, he doesn't like Miss Johnson for the fact that she's gonna be the next mayor of Port Wentworth. 3 weeks later, she gets a call in the middle of the night, an anonymous call says, they're gonna run her nigger ass out of town. These things are just too coincidental for him not to have a hand, the mayor not to have a hand in it. It's my personal opinion. Not the way I look at it. It's just too coincidental. And I told the mayor, you know, you need to grow a set and be a man. Stand up for what you did.
What is it that he did?
I truly believe he's behind all this.
Behind what? The picture or
The picture, the whole thing, everything is going on. Because it's known that Bill Herron, Barbara Powers, used to be Tim Holbrook, and Ernie Stanhope wouldn't do anything about the mayor telling them. Two of their cohorts are gone, replaced by myself and Thomas Barbie. And you know, I wish that, you know, to think that it's because I'm so honest and so straightforward why I was elected. Same with Thomas Barbie. You know, we're very honest people, and right is wrong. You know, right is right, wrong is wrong. There's just too many things that the mayor has, you know, is behind. I just feel he's behind it all. telling the gentleman here, dealing with Mr. Steely when he was on the HOA board, he would, they would talk how they wanted to destroy that nigger bitch. Talk about Miss Johnson.
Him and who? Him and the mayor? Or?
The one, during their lunches, the mayor, all of them. They don't like it that she's so active and becoming so well known.
Right.
And yes, she got a lot of support. And that support is what the mayor used to have because of all them people. As I told him earlier, he's trying to get Thomas Barbie, which is, like I told him, one of my best friends in Fort Wentworth since I moved down here. He's a black man. It's like the only reason he's got Miss Powers is I need a black vote. That's what he's let it be known. He needs them people for the black vote.
What's going on with Fred Williams?
What do you mean? As far as?
Everybody that we interviewed seemed to think that Fred Williams had his hand in this.
In what? He's out of it.
Well, not back when the picture was taken, he wasn't. We're going back to May of 2015.
Yes, sir. I mean, Fred Williams is a developer, home builder.
Yeah.
He supported myself, Thomas Barbie. Well, I had Fred Williams and two other builders support me because I caught criminal activity on their properties. I know what it was. But Fred Williams, you got to understand the people in these communities. Fred Williams is a multimillionaire. He is the declarant. We all pay HOA dues. They think he takes the HOA money and runs with it. You can show them all the documentation, paperwork you want. They don't believe it. Fred, you need to interview Mr. Fred Williams. He's a man like you've never met. Very smart, very straightforward. The thing with Fred Williams is he had a lawsuit against the city over some, I really don't know, I just heard bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Water, streets.
Don't they have ordinance 1515?
Well, yeah, they think he's behind that because of that.
Well, opposing that. That was.
He opposed it along with other builders.
Yeah.
See, the problem is Mr. Williams used to come to all the council meetings and record them. Mm-hmm. Okay, when 1515 came out, they didn't think about it. I said that's Tim Holbrook's parting shot to Mr. Williams.
Yeah.
Because 1515, if you're gonna use our roads, you gotta pay $100,000. Come on.
Was it 100,000? We heard 10 million in cash.
No. It's $100,000
Cash.
cash bond for 10 years.
Okay, which was.
Is it per road or is it for the whole complex?
Subdivision.
They said to use those roads in Fort Wentworth is $100,000 cash bond for 10 years. If there's any road repair, it comes out of that bond. Yeah. Yes, he opposed it. All builders opposed it. He used to be a what do they call the Builders Association. He was a member of it, and they all went to him because none of the other builders, they can give a crap less what happens once they're done building.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, he takes pride in his community. That's his name out there. They'll talk bad about him unless they need something done. Then they're gonna call him. I'll tell you straightforward. And I oppose 1515.
But we were told it was voted on unanimously. And then Ms. Johnson came back later.
Well, he wasn't on the council.
At that time, I wasn't on the council. I got in started January 4th of this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
But wasn't it voted?
It was voted on unanimous. No, not the first time. Even the first time, because it had to come back for a second because Ms. Johnson said no.
Right, she rescinded her vote.
Yes, she rescinded her vote because she didn't understand it. None of the council did. Once Mr. Williams stood up and, explained all that,
Mhm.
some of the other council members said, whoa, whoa. So she rescinded her vote, then they had to come back a second time, and majority took it. She still voted no.
Right. The people that rescinded their vote was who?
The first time, I believe, was Miss Johnson and Judd Bowers. Because he rescinded because he didn't know the facts.
All right, and was Judd just recently put on the council?
Oh no, he's got like 12 years.
12 years?
Yeah, he's assistant pro tem now.
Yes,
isn't he?
Mayor Pro Tem. I mean, him and I talked, do I trust him? To a point. Because, you know, he's,
So what's his angle with Miss Johnson?
I really don't know, I just know they don't get along. You know, a lot of this happened before I got there, and like I said, I go to the council meetings, and what they do behind closed doors is none of my business. Just like what I discuss in executive session is none of your business. That's just how I look at it. But there's people that did, like as I told you, I leave my phone in my truck. There's people take recording devices in executive session. You know, namely Miss Powers. Ernie Stanhope used to. He would tell people, you gotta record it.
Did he say why he recorded?
Never would say, so I record it. And, you know, Mr. Stanhope, that's a gentleman I replaced.
Mm-hmm.
He has a case against me anyways, because when he was the councilman for our district, he started off, he didn't even live in our district. So I asked him, I said, he would come up, him and the mayor, like, Mutt and Jeff, come up and say, Mr. Fox, what's going on in your community? At first I would tell him, that, because I didn't know he was my representative.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finally one day I says, Mr. Stanhope, who are you? He says, well, I'm your councilman. So, whoa, how are you my councilman and you live downtown? Oh, after the vote, they redistrict it and I'm your councilman. So at that point I told him, I say, if you really want to know what's going on in my community, why don't you come out here? See what the people want. Talk to the people. Quote, unquote, I don't live there. I don't care what goes on there, and I'll never come out there. That was from Mr. Stanhope. That was the first thing. Then he went to Athens for a class. And he did the ice bucket challenge in a disgusting manner. He went to a Walmart, bought a pair of women panties.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Oh yeah.
And it really wasn't women's panties.
Well, it was
Yeah.
real tight gym shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I called him out on it, and he hasn't liked me since. I mean, it wouldn't have been so bad except for he said where he was from and who he represented. Like, wow.
And anything else you can tell us about situation with Powers and with the mayor and everybody else, their issue with Miss Johnson?
Their issue with Miss Johnson is they don't like what she stands for. You know, I stand for growth. With growth, you have a better economy. You have more money in the city. And they don't want, as they put it, those people coming into our community.
who's they?
The mayor, Bill Herron, Judd Bowers, and that before myself and Thomas got on there was Barbara, Tim Holbrook, and Ernie Stanhope.
What are those people? What are they referring to?
African Americans, yeah, we know. You know, there seems to be such a big racial divide in the council and the city and everything.
The racial divide is created by the mayor, because if there's hectic and argument and contention, you know, fights between council, the mayor's the good guy. He stays out of it to a point, but he's still pulling the strings. You gotta, it's hard to explain. But just listening to him and listen to like Tim Holbrook and all them before they become a councilman, the mayor said. Things get done because the mayor said, not because the council wants it or voted on it. That's why if the council would work together, we could get more stuff done. That's how they control everything. Does it make sense?
So they create chaos
Yeah,
in order for them to stay in power.
correct. And if you try and talk to Ms. Johnson, well, I can't, I won't. And it's a shame because she's a fellow council person. She disagrees with it, or she'll run and tell Eric Steele, word for word what you say.
And Ms. Johnson or Ms.
I'm sorry,
Powers?
Ms. Powers.
Yeah, I didn't think Miss Johnson was gonna have any.
Oh, no, she had,
conversation.
no, I'm sorry, it was Ms. Powers.
No.
She goes, like I was telling you, she goes
So
to,
Ms. Powers and Steele have a
oh,
ongoing good relationship.
Oh,
You
yeah.
said she goes by his house?
a couple times a week. That's how, like I told you, I know she recorded the last session. I know she did. And I even, like I said, I informed the mayor.
Well, Steele even in the news press openly stated the reason why he posted that picture of Johnson was in retaliation for the photos that were posted of Powers. So we know that there's a tight relationship between Powers and Steele.
Here's the problem. Johnson had nothing to do with them photos.
Right, she did not, it was all Hawks.
Yeah. And, the thing with Jody Hawks, Barbara Powers is his council person. That's the district he lives in. People from that district will call her to help find, issues out, get answers to some issues. She won't work with them. Call somebody else, I can't help you. So they'll call Mr. Barbie, they'll call Ms. Johnson, or they'll call myself. And as I told him earlier, when I first got on council, all I ever said to that woman was, "Hi, Miss Powers." She put me in a police report. Felt threatened.
Yeah, there were several people that she named.
Yeah. I mean, and it all goes, it's a circle.
So what's the solution?
What's the solution? First and foremost, we have to get Mr. Steele to shut up. Because the mayor knows if he says shit, he's gonna spread something different.
Right, well, we know that's not gonna happen. So what's the real solution?
I really think that I won't tell you how to do your job. I just think he needs to be locked up for a little while, a week or so, Mr. Steele.
On what?
That the picture wasn't the one he posted was an executive session. It was not as if she was walking down the street or sitting at a restaurant. That was in a private executive session. Being a councilman, taking some of them classes, you can have an orgy in executive session and it's not supposed to leave that room. Anything in that room is not supposed to leave that room. So, in other words, there's women in there, other than Miss Johnson, all of them wear dresses.
Right.
The state has to do something to protect the people in private sessions.
Right. Now, the media has already confirmed that there is no upskirting law in the state of Georgia. The last time it was challenged was as recently as July of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And the Court of Appeals struck down basically what was there and simply said that Atlanta has to catch up with technology.
Well, Senator Lester Jackson's seen that picture, and he said there can be something done.
There's no doubt that there can be something done. What we've done is we've referred the legal decisions and legal opinion to the Chatham County District Attorney's Office. We're aware of what code sections exist.
Mm-hmm.
We're aware of what possibilities may exist, but when it gets down to it, the Sheriff's Department office is not going to do or act without the definite consultation of the DA's office.
Oh, and I understand that. There has to be something to shut him down.
Unfortunately, I think Mr. Steely's fire was fueled when Mr. Hawks was given the thumbs up by the Superior Court judge here in Chatham County.
The
stating-
magistrate.
Was it the magistrate?
Yes,
Okay, where he was found that he was within his rights, his First Amendment rights?
right. See, and he didn't post them pictures, Mr. Hawks, until after that finding.
That's correct. And you're referring, Mr. Steely didn't post those pictures until after that finding?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
But, see, there's a difference in pictures.
I agree 100%.
I mean, you got a picture of a lady's face compared to a picture between a lady's legs.
Well, right now, the law does not provide an outlet for us to do anything as far as charging him under the charges of anything that he has done. Now, there may be civil action or anything like that we have no control over.
And I truly understand that. My main reason for coming in here today was to let you know there's more to it than the mayor's saying, than all of them are saying. You just gotta connect the dots.
Right, but sir, please understand, the Sheriff's Department was asked to look at this in the standpoint of any possible criminal actions.
Correct, I understand that.
Now, all the side issues that are going on within the city and on the council, those truly are way out of our control and out of our hands.
Yep.
That, be honest with you, we can't even make a suggestion.
Dr. Phil couldn't fix that, I'm
Well,
sorry.
Well, in literal terms, it's a Port Wentworth issue.
Yes, sir.
We were brought in to be fact finders to determine the situation of what goes on with Ms. Johnson and what happened. And we were brought in actually by Port Wentworth Police Department so they could have some clarity and fairness as to, they didn't want anybody thinking they were biased by the outcome of whatever the outcome comes out.
Right, and I understand that, and I was fine with Port Wentworth doing it. I'm not the one that questioned that, because I dealt with Chief Libby and Major Sherriff. They've been straightforward with me. I have no reason to disbelieve what their finding would have been. I didn't question that. Yes, it was questioned by Thomas Barton. Isn't that a conflict of interest? I knew that. I knew, he didn't want to question it. But my comment to him is why? I mean, let them do their job, see where it goes. I says, because there's always a chain you can go.
Right, but you know as well as I do, if you let it go and see where it goes, if it's favorable to those people who want it to be favorable, there's not an issue.
Right.
But if it is unfavorable to
Right.
those people who want it to be favorable, then it does become an issue.
You're right. I mean,
So
I know that, but
yeah.
just dealing with my old job is doing what I was
Yes,
used
sir.
to do, so
So the right decision was made to have it
outside hands.
outside agency, exactly, exactly. But your issues with Hawks and Steely being private citizens and protected under the First Amendment, it's part of making America great again. It's what we have, it's what the founding fathers wanted, it goes back that far.
Yes, sir.
You've also got freedom of the press. I mean, all of our constitutional rights and our amendments that protect us. They work for us and they worked against us
Once you
sometimes.
become a political figure, it works against you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But there are some things within our control and then there are some things that are not. It just takes a man with common sense and some wisdom to sort through it. And, that's what we're dealing with here.
Right. Well, like I said, I wanted to come in because I know a lot more than what I think was ever told to you. And you go to the mayor and I'm straight. They'll tell you I shoot straightforward. I don't go around the bush. I go through it.
No. But if we were to leave here and go straight to the mayor and say, hey, listen, we heard that,
That's hearsay.
yeah.
I know a little bit. But, you know, like I said, this, as I stated earlier to you, I am so over it.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I was a common citizen 8 months ago.
Well, one thing we've heard from a good bit of the people is that y'all don't have a code of ethics.
I
And
tried to
that may
get
help
that. I tried to get that and they turned it down. The city don't, the mayor don't want it. We're doing well enough.
Maybe you need to work on that. That may alleviate a great deal of the issues that you have with outside interference with your council and even internal interference with your council.
I'm a true believer that we need to be a city of ethics. I mean, you gotta be held accountable.
We need to be people of ethics first.
Yes, sir.
That is the key statement there.
Let me give you my card. I'll tell you, I can't thank you guys enough for what you guys do.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm disabled, but I'm from Indiana. I was hit on a motorcycle in 2000, June 1st, 2007. I've had 22 surgeries.
Ooh, that was a serious hit.
Yeah, they pronounced me dead twice.
Ooh,
Told me I'd never walk again.
yeah.
But my wife, I wasn't married at the time when I got married. I met my wife at the nursing home I was in. She was a therapist. Not mine, but she had worked there. She thought I was an ass.
Yeah.
But she told me if I ever thought about getting another bike, she'd divorce me.
Oh.
I don't ride again, but
Yeah.
I'm walking.
Well, there you go. You got a lot to be grateful for.
Hey, thank you guys for your time.
Yes, sir.
I'm bothering you.
I got you. Thank you, T. John. You turned it off for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Paul.
I'm